Hello, everyone. Welcome to 3Q New Mexico's Business Podcast. I am your host, Pam Myers, and my wonderful co host is the fabulous and wonderful Erica Yoakum. We are here this week with Jay Sanchez. Jay is the CEO of Adrenaline Partnerships and the owner of Scaramanga Movie Ranch in Madrid, New Mexico. So, welcome, Jay. We're delighted to have you join us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for bringing me on.
Yeah.
Look, he's all calm and nice now. We say, yeah. Now the recording button is going. Yeah. So pre getting on here, we were talking about authenticity. I want to talk a little bit more about that because I'm totally with you. I used to teach social media, and I would say the worst thing in the world is to see somebody online as one way, and then you meet them in person and they're completely different. Or one of my personal favorites is the picture that they have on social media is 30 years older than they are, or
That's
younger
typical.
than they are. I'm
That's
looking
Ron
at
Bell.
you,
That's Ron
Albuquerque
Bell.
real estate
You
ladies.
look at Ron Bell's billboard. It's from like 20, 30 years ago. And then you look at Ron. He's looking a little older now.
Yeah, and for me, I'm looking at Ron like this because the guy comes to hear on me. He's a tiny little guy. Anyway,
Right.
Yeah.
So authenticity. So yeah, you again before we started recording, unfortunately, but you have this long, varied history, which I love because that's what if you look at my LinkedIn profile, I'm all over the map too, and
Yeah.
I'm not quite as extreme as yours, but I get it. Like, do you get bored easily, and that's why you move to and think, or you're just one of those follow the flow? Because you were talking about you got into this, and then it led to that, and then it led to that. What's your methodology? Are you being authentic to yourself by
I'm
following the flow,
ADD.
or just going, I'm out. I'm gonna go do this thing
I'm
over here.
ADD to the extreme. Then I'm OCD to the extreme.
Oh, lovely.
And
Okay.
I get bored. Once I successfully accomplish, I've only been in the creative industries other than my time in the Air Force. But once I've accomplished and, the company's evolved to this amount or to this thing, I have no problem with evolution and change. Migrating, starting from this, which led to this, and then we did this, and then look at us, we're a global ad and PR firm. I I embrace it. I love it. If I was just making widgets and the same widgets over and over again, it doesn't work.
Wow.
Doesn't work for me. I gotta have, like, even now, right? I'm working and building my movie ranch. I'm doing it myself, and my friends go, "Why would you hire a construction company? There's no fun in that." And I like to do this stuff, right? It's an opportunity for me to be creative, uh, and eventually be my own sheriff and mayor and town treasurer and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Okay,
But
so these are very different things. So
right.
give us your elevator speech on both.
Yes.
Uh, well, again, I actually I'm 13th generation New Mexican,
Wow.
and as most New Mexicans, uh, if you're born and raised in New Mexico, at 18, all you want to do is get the hell out of New Mexico. And so I graduated from St. Pius, the frou-frou school,
Mhm.
and I hitched a ride with the Air Force, did my time, started a business while I was in the Air Force, much to the chagrin of the Air Force,
Mm-hmm.
and I uh, I grew independent of the Air Force, honorably discharged, but I'm and medically discharged as well. Uh, but I had become independent in the Air Force, and that is something that is usually reserved for somebody who wins the lottery. Right? Once you win the lottery, the military does not want you because you're probably not going to react the same way.
Okay.
Um, I did my time, but like I said, did time in the Air Force, started a little sign company out of my dorm room in the military. It quickly overwhelmed my dorm room in the military. They allowed me to move off base because they're like, "Hey, you can't be doing that here." And that little sign company, again, it was a 300 square foot little on a strip mall on the second level. It was a horrible place, but it was what I could afford for my military paycheck because I was full-time active duty. And then when I'd get off that, I'd go to work on my little sign company. And one day I got a call from MTV, and they asked if you do props, and I lied my ass off. I said, you goddamn right I do. I do all kinds of things. Props, I didn't even know what the hell they meant. I was just like, well, MTV's calling me, I'll say yes. And the thing was, it was for their spring break specials that took place up in Panama City and Fort Walton and Destin, which is where I live. And that went ballistic. I went from a 300 square foot facility to a 40,000 square foot facility almost overnight. By this point, I was out of the military. They didn't want me to go, but they're like, look, you're financially independent. And so it might be a good idea for you not to come back in. We love you. They're like, oh, you're like G.I. Joe 2000, but you don't really need Uncle Sam anymore. Yeah. And that grew. I mean, all of a sudden, when we said we were doing props, then everybody was calling us. And the part, I'll tell you, the MTV stuff did happen while I was in. Here's a little funny, I'll share with you a funny story. I'm a young guy, right? I'm the demo for MTV, but I own the company that's building all the giant MTVs and all these things, right? And Daisy Fuentes called me up. We remember her, nobody younger than us, but she was one of the original VJs on MTV. She called me up on stage, which I had not. This was not a planned thing. She called me up on stage. She was just, he's just like you, but this guy's an entrepreneur and he's building all the da-da-da and blah, blah, blah party. And, of course, I'm like a dumbass. I go up there, right? And keep in mind, only a few people in the military knew the extent of my business. Right? I kept it really, really quiet because it can bother some folks, right? Achievement is one of those things that can chime off a few people who maybe haven't. Okay.
Right.
So I kept it really quiet. Only the top leadership knew. But when Daisy Fuentes called me on stage, blah, 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 look at me, party, funnel, right? Making the props, all this stuff. It was all good until that aired.
Cat was out of the bag, huh?
Then Uncle Sam had a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
And I was called in and told, look, your time is coming up. Your GIG would love you. I was an F-15 crew chief, and I did really well. I was the commander's crew chief. So I was a flight capable crew chief. That's an F-15. And it just, they're all looking at me. All these generals are looking at me going like, yeah, we're going to catch all kind of heat. So maybe exit left, right? You're financially independent. You really don't need to be here. But I was determined I'm going to serve my time, and I did. And that eventually, I lost everything. I will tell you, I went total bankrupt at 21 years old for about 10 million. I was very unseasoned. I come from just a poor ranch family here in New Mexico. At the time, my parents ended up doing well, but sadly, after I left, then all of a sudden they're, woohoo! I'm like, look, you guys are going a little crazy on my inheritance here. Let's like that. This is because I like the new Cadillac, love it, in the hot tub. Let's think about things. But anyways, Hurricane Opal took Destin and made it flat as a pancake.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the heart to lay people off, even though my home was now 100 yards off the beach. right?
Oh, wow.
The place was flat as a pancake. And I don't know. It was dumb. It was a dumb decision. I should have let everyone go, but I knew there's no jobs now. And what
Right.
happened is I exhausted all my funds and I ended up having to file bankruptcy. I was trying to make it, and
Yeah.
my attorney said, no, it's time to reboot. And they said,
Yeah.
look,
Your
look,
losses.
most people are,
Right.
and she's like, look at it this way. Most people are learning this lesson at 50 years old.
Right.
And
You can recoup.
which didn't help my mentality any better, but I did. I went completely kaput. The only business I worked for, other than the Air Force, that was not cell phone, I ended up working for Lamar Outdoor Advertising as the
Mm.
regional art director for less than a year.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time, I had reestablished myself as, and everybody wanted to do business with me. So I started a creative agency, moved to Lakeland, Florida, which is Central Florida, started a creative agency. It took off, and it was time to move. So it was either Orlando or Tampa. Orlando was much more accepting of outside businesses, just a totally Tampa's old school, old world, and
Mm-hmm.
Orlando is come on in, take a leadership role in the community if you can, and let's all work. Orlando is a very business forward city.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I can't stress that enough.
Mm-hmm.
Business forward, and my ad agency took off, and we became a global ad and PR agency. Uh, Rolls Royce, Lamborghini Automobili, Pepsi, uh, you
Oh,
name
I
it.
thought
These
you were
were our,
saying you had one. I was thinking that beats the Cadillac, but okay,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, these are, oh, I did eventually have one. And then a cop pulled up next to me one time. I took it to the chamber for when we had a board meeting. And the cop pulls up to me and he looks at me, he says, and I'm like, what's he talking about, right? So he's telling me, roll the window down. So I roll the window down and he looks at me, goes like this. You ain't doing anything wrong now, but I know you're going to do something wrong. And so I ended up saying, you can't use a Lamborghini in Orlando. Those cars like to go a million miles an hour, and Orlando's very congested at this point. But the ad agency exploded,
Wow.
and we were a dominant force, very big players in Orlando, but most of our clients were outside that realm
Mm-hmm.
globally. And then I was brought in as speaker for marketing and stuff. We're a very successful agency. We were very successful because we would remind our clients that creativity does not guarantee success.
Mm-hmm.
Our
Right.
goal was to make them money,
Mm-hmm. Right.
period. That was our goal. We're going to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
But there was another ad agency, a big agency that we kind of go head and head. They won all the ad. We won every award, and I'd only submit for one award, and then we get it, right? Just to prove my point. Look, we can be just as creative as anybody else, but we're more focused on achieving for our clients, making them make money.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and while they were winning all these creative awards, their clients weren't sticking around because, as creative as they were, they'd lose focus on the product.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
so we were very well known for being extremely, to an extreme sense, successful for clients.
Yeah.
Uh, we use a lot of psychology. We're very psychology focused in marketing and design.
Mm-hmm.
Proper colors, the way people look at it, who we're selling to, men, women, kids, things like that. And that evolved into, we were farming out the commercials that we were doing. And I said, well, I don't like that, because you can't control anything you farm out. And so we started our
Mm.
own entertainment wing,
Ah.
had our own facilities, our own recording studios and all that, and full blown ad and PR, did risk PR. So we worked with quite a many political leaders For those who know what
Risk PR. That's
is,
what that's called.
it's called risk PR. It's hey, your candidate fell out of the titty bar at 3 a.m. We better be the guys that you call at 4 a.m. because we're going to have a good explanation for this at 7 a.m. for the press conference.
Yeah.
Like the movie The Kid. Bruce Willis plays that guy who's like, "'Cause you are stupid." Yeah, and that was his thing. Was
That shit was
saving.
crazy. I tell any interns that were working on a project where I said, look, it's going to sound like the entire government is flying like completely apart. But rest assured, we're trying to fix things for the general good.
Right.
But and then that eventually I sold the agency to a conglomerate.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect timing. I came up with the concept. I was originally brought in by the gentleman Brock. His name is Brock Yates. He's a famous automotive journalist. He's since passed. He is the creator of the Cannonball Run race, the actual real one, and also was the screenwriter for the movie and another little known film called Smokey and the Bandit. And I was brought in by him to relaunch the franchise for Cannonball. And unfortunately, at the 1970s contracts, nobody knows who really owned what.
Yeah.
You're a producer. I actually own. The minute I almost got every single person on the table, every single person to agree, threw a big party at my home in Orlando, invited all these principal people, the very famous folks, including Brock, and all their problems melted at that point. Whatever animosities they had, it all melted, and we were ready to do this. But the only holdout was Raymond Chow Productions out of China, and he was in. He didn't make it to the party, but he was in, and he was like 100 years old now, and I believe he's still alive. So he must be like 200 at this point. But right when we were at the point of pulling the trigger, he called and said, "Look, Mr. Chow appreciates your youthful blah, and he knows you can do it, but it's going to be a pass." And that's why you'll never see a Cannonball Run movie. It's all held in a state. Everybody's dead, and so it's all in a state. You'll never see that. And when that happened, I talked to Brock and said, "Look, we might be able to let me play with this a little bit and get back with you. We might be able to come up with an alternative." And I created an alternative show with an alternative name. And as soon as we came up with the name, we backfilled a history to the name, aligned the show with a charitable aspect, and we raced to copyright to register everything before anybody would breathe. And then we launched the Fireball Run television series, which was like Amazon's version of Amazing Race.
Wow.
It was on for 11 seasons. Big difference from Amazing Race. At this point, I've sold the agency, right? Because now I'm that first to do this, I had to get rid of something. And a friend of mine asked, he goes, one of my clients, he says, "Why would you get rid of a perfectly working company to go in?" What they thought was to go into the rally business. I told him, I said, it's quite simple. My friend Tyler, actually, he owns all those doomsday silos that are turned into like billionaire bunkers now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he owned a number of magazines. We were his agency of record. And he says, I don't get it. And I said, "Well, Tyler, let me ask you this. You spend money with us and me, but you don't really like to, right? And keep in mind, full staff and everything." And he says, no, I love working with you. I said, no. But if you didn't have to spend that money, you wouldn't do it, right? Why would you, right? So marketing and advertising to an executive, sadly, is I need to do it rather than I want to do it. And I said, I'm moving from a need to do it business to it makes no gosh damn sense to anyone to participate in this show. They want to.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, he said, totally get it. And we had our hiccups that first trial. Decided we're going to go from Orlando to Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
And it burnt 10 years of life off of me. The stories that the competitors share is immense and torturing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, we're going to ratify this whole thing. We're going to change it up. We're going to add all kinds of things to control the aspects to make this a safe production. And when I pitched it to CBS, they laughed me right out of the building. They said, that's the dumbest, because I said, I said, it's not a reality show so much as it is real. And we're going to capture it in real time. And we're not going to cast it. I put a formula together that basically guaranteed we're going to get all kinds of cool action and under a safe parameter. But they laughed me out of the building. They said, look, this thing will cost $13 million out the gate. And I was like, no, really. And I appreciate, and the Air Force I have to thank for that, because I learned processes and I came with a different process.
Yeah. Okay.
I was able to fund it initially entirely on my own. And just by coming up with, having a marketing background, I was able to leverage a lot of things that most people don't know in the film and television industry. And we launched it on YouTube for the first, if you want to call it a season. I call it capturing video. It didn't make sense. But we learned very quickly, and the show exploded off of its fourth season, and it was all about rare moments. It was not like a scavenger hunt like anybody's ever seen. The people had clues. The clues were based in history that matched locations. And if they solved the clue in time and got to it on time, they were handed a rare, once-in-a-lifetime activity. And in the show, I ended it after 11 seasons because I ran out of ideas. I was telling the folks at Amazon, we have literally touched everything in the country that's untouchable, done everything in the country that's undoable, and went everywhere in the country that's ungoable.
Yeah.
Just real quick example, we are the only people to ever drive the lunar rover module that was used by the Apollo astronauts. There's two that exist, one on the moon and the practice one that was parked and never had seen light of day till our show.
Wow.
Kennedy Space Center put $13 million into getting working again. Nobody could remember how fast it actually drives, 15 miles an hour, by the way. And we were the first people to ever physically touch it that are civilians, that weren't Apollo astronauts, and ever to drive it.
Wow.
Some of our contestants. So that's the degree. I mean, presidential museums we earned a reputation for being sharp, smart, had a good crew that understood how to operate in certain places. And I mean, it came down to, if we were passing a military installation, they'd be calling us. The military called the show. Say, look, how do we get the installation in it?
Right. So go ahead.
So all kinds of stuff. And that was it. So I've evolved from, I owned a little sign company and an Air Force guy to, what the hell am I doing? I am an executive producer. I am an idiot. What was I thinking? Why wouldn't we just try the first one from Orlando to Tampa?
Yeah.
No, I'm a think big for some reason guy.
Yeah.
I like to learn my lessons harsh and swift.
Yeah, we get it. Yeah.
That's it. And so now I do have my own new shows that we're pushing, and then I consult for other shows in a very special, unique way. Not like a traditional. I'm a showrunner, and I'm one of three gilded showrunners in the state.
Okay.
And
when the state, you mean now you're back in New Mexico?
In New Mexico, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, well, we moved here. What ended up happening after 11 seasons? Done. Amazon asked me, "You gonna do another one?" I said, "If you ask me again, I'm gonna jump out of this here office window." We were headquartered at Universal Studios in Orlando, and I talked to my spouse, and who was a line producer, and I said, "Look, it's been a big thing for the past 11 years. Let's slow the pace down. Let's move to Santa Fe and kind of semi-retire." And I haven't seen the semi or the retire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So you showed up here, and then you created a movie ranch. What the hell is a movie ranch?
Yeah.
Well, it's a production site, right? We have, I like to say, the most convenient canyon in the state. Our canyon is private.
Okay.
Is privately owned. It's
Privately own a canyon?
Yeah, it's a small canyon, but you get in there. I mean, I couldn't build anything better at Universal Studios. I'm telling you, it's got disappearing angle, everything. It's been 3D mapped. So we're only 15 minutes from Santa Fe Studios.
Right.
And 30 minutes from Albuquerque. And otherwise, you're going to haul it out there. You're going to either deal with BLM
Right.
To get a canyon, or you're going to deal with tribal nation.
Right.
Both are
Right.
very well known for being extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And here you got they have a guy who's actually in the industry, understands them, and says, "Go do what you want. Just behave."
Yeah.
Right? I don't
Behave.
manage them. And it's like I said, it's convenient. It's 3D mapped. So by the time they add levels to it, it's the Grand Canyon. But it's just a fun thing. It's fun. I'm building my own little town out here.
Wow.
Oh, so when you
What
said
about
you wanted to be your own mayor and your own sheriff, you were
Yeah,
serious?
it's funny because I had somebody from a film, one of the film offices, go, "Well," because I said, "I'm going to do ours a little different. We're going to do a little township, very small, right? We're the smallest of the folks, but we're going to do right on the cusp of automobiles, 1910 time, right? Because everybody's got a Western. So what I wanted to do was have an appearance that was 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the new century.
Okay.
So we can apply to both. And that's what we're doing. I'm doing it myself and having a blast. And
wow.
except for when I'm my own welder, I'm my own carpenter. I have an assistant that helps me because I'm now in my early 50s, shockingly. I don't want to be here, but I am. And I cannot move
Better than the
everything as much.
alternative.
Yeah, I can't
Right.
move things as I used to, so I need
Right.
younger folks. And I even have we do I select 1 or 2 interns for the year, and they are working on the ranch, helping us build this stuff and building things and props. And I relate everything to the industry. They get to stay here. No fee about no paying internet, no paying for television, and no paying for really anything. And in return, they're working on the ranch, but everything I relate to the film industry. And by the time they get done, they never last more than 6 months.
Okay.
I will help them get in, and I have been undefeated so far.
Yeah.
I show them how to get attention, how to be seen and respected on set without being a personality.
Yes.
Which is I can't tell folks enough. Here's what you need to be. You don't want them to know your name. If a producer or director, as you're a PA, knows your name, it's probably not for a good reason. If you get your first name should be the guy who holds things good. That's you. They don't know who the hell you are. They're very busy. I'm very busy on set. I don't know who the hell anybody is. I have 40, 50 person crew for my show that move cross country at the speed of light, right? You catch it or you don't, it's gone.
Right.
I can't put names to it right away, but if they're good, they usually get a nickname.
Oh no.
Because that's what I can cram in my head. Hey, you squirrely haired kid, the kid with the squirrely hair, get him. And
Really?
what happens is those are the people you remember. You
Right.
want when they go to another production, you want them to say, you know what, we need, they need PAs for this or something like that. You know what, get that kid that he held the things good. He was
Right.
always on top of it. Get that kid.
Yeah.
You work with somebody 3 times in a production, now you've got a name and your network is built. So I
Right.
really show them how to kind of cheat those methods to get in. And I help them get in, and everybody's gotten in. Now, has everybody survived? I've had one that did not.
Only
And
one?
yeah, he sadly, he was too ambitious. I told him, you need to slow it down, and you need to go through the paces that you got to go through. And unfortunately, now he's not in the industry. I've had a few of them like that, but from my time here, just one.
How did you come up with the name for Scaramanga Movie Ranch, Jay? Or Scaramanga, sorry, mispronounced.
Scaramanga. Right. So both me and my spouse we're big James Bond fans. Just lots of Bond stuff. We can watch a Bond thing over and over again, except for Timothy Dalton. And so, and I was also, I don't want to say friends. I'll say associates, because the term friends, I think, is used too loosely. But Sir Roger Moore and I were acquainted. He did a lot of good things for my show. He was really good and supportive about a lot of things. Keep in mind, he was in the Cannonball Run movie, the first one.
Right.
And we became good associates, right? Because he's Sir Roger Moore, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't, he would probably have called me a friend. I just try to be respectful, right? Never get too close. But so when we got this place, I said, we're going to name everything after a Bond element. And the history of this property is that it was back in the 70s, it was owned by a drug czar or a drug lord from Mexico or something like that. And they were growing marijuana in the canyon till as a local told me, till the sheriff started using the helicopter. And then that was the end of that. And so I said, let's name it after the man with the golden gun, who was a drug lord, Francisco Scaramanga.
Oh,
and
wow.
we call it Scaramanga Movie Ranch.
Yeah.
But our gulch is called Goodnight's Gulch. It's a high-fat canyon, Money Pennies, mercantile. It's just all this little fun stuff that we do.
That's awesome.
These signs change, of course, for filming, but
Right.
it's just us. Our roads are named after the different actors. Because Roger Moore is my James Bond. I said I need my Bonds a little bit womanizer, a little bit cheeky, with lots
A little bit
lots
cheesy.
of
Yeah,
toys,
there you go.
lots of toys, and that's my James Bond, right?
Mhm.
And so Main Street is Roger Moore Main Street, and then somebody said, "Well, what are you gonna give Timothy Dalton?" And I said, "Oh, he's getting a dead end, like his career."
That's funny.
When we hope to have about half the buildings, maybe a little bit more, completed, the facades completed by summer of this year, with any bit of luck, because COVID set us back ridiculous,
Right.
just insane, right?
Mhm.
And then actually we're bringing out Lazarby, who played in Her Majesty's Secret Service. He'll be here for our little soft opening,
Oh,
which will
fun.
be an industry thing. We'll invite you, different folks, friends of mine. So there'll be
Yeah.
some notable people here, a few other actors that I won't name yet because I'm not going to leverage their name. They're just friends and they'll come out. So
Mhm.
that's what we're going to do. But that's what's named after,
Yeah.
is
Wow.
Francisco Scaramanga, the man with the golden gun.
And
Nice.
That's him. That's him right there on. Yep.
and the logo, yeah.
right there on the left.
How many acres do you have?
Small. We're only like 24, 25 acres.
Okay.
We're really small.
Mhm.
We're not trying to compete with anyone.
Mhm.
I was very dear friends with, and I just dropped her name. Oh my goodness. The Bonanza Creek. Imogene Hughes.
Mhm.
She really kind of took me under my wing. I've rented stuff like this before, but I've never run one. And she really took me under her wing, and we'd meet at her place she was 79. Sadly, she's passed away. She's
Mhm.
79, had the energy of a 59-year-old, looked like a early 50s-year-old, and had a beehive twice her size. And that lady was everything to this state.
Mhm.
Everybody knew her. Everybody used Bonanza Creek. And she was so kind to share with me some of her secrets and how to run things.
Mm.
And it was awesome. It was very
Wow.
awesome. So that's who I learned from. But,
Yeah.
we're kind of a big secret, if you will.
Yeah.
We get people who, of course, people do call us and do things, but I'm not out there pressing the flesh and advertising. I
Mhm.
like it to be organic. I want, and we do a lot of neat things. If we have I offer a property rental discount. If your executive producer or showrunner is a member of Women in Film,
Oh,
Mhm.
nice.
if you're an all-female led production, we offer a discount.
Okay.
Nice.
If you are an all New Mexican uh, film crew, much steeper discount.
Mhm.
And then also, if you're a student film, we allow student films that do not yet have distribution picked up. Students get to film here free
Hmm.
Okay.
as long as they cover like the trash and stuff like
Mhm.
that. They do have to have proper insurance.
Mhm.
But I'm definitely trying to give back to the home state.
Mhm.
Uh, we love independent film.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, we had a guy come here tour it yesterday, or actually 2 days ago, was like, oh my God, because we're at the top of Madrid. They're like, you get semi trucks up here? I said, brother, this thing looks like Warner Brothers when all this stuff is going on. We fit like 4 semis up here, plus crew cars and other vehicles, light vehicles.
Wow.
And I mean, it'll look like a studio real quick. And we haven't had any complaints, which is great.
Mhm.
We got our proper zoning, and we want to give back to the community, and we do.
Yeah. And it's in
Awesome.
a beautiful spot. It's a beautiful
It is
spot.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
It is gorgeous. A little
Mhm.
problematic at times with the internet,
Mhm. Mm.
but you install enough of them.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But it's been fun so far. We've only had a couple of bad experiences. One that had the potential to go as bad as Rust,
Mhm.
and I nipped that nearly
Mm.
immediately. They
Mhm.
filmed here for one day, and then shut it down.
Mm.
Wow.
I'm not going to play. I know a little bit different than most folks who with the movie ranches out here. They're not industry people. They are
Mm.
industry by just owning the movie ranch. But I'm the only one who's actually done it. And
Wow.
so I know if somebody's playing too fast and loose with the rules, if their insurance isn't going to cover it, da da da. I had one
Mm.
that was playing way too fast and too loose, especially around our canyon, and it's just not going to happen.
Mhm.
Did not have when we double checked everything. Did not have the proper insurance.
Mhm.
It was pretty volatile too, because that thing went eruption. Let me put it this way: all the film offices know about them. I'm not going to say who it is, but everybody. And then they said, "Well, hell, we're going to get out of New Mexico and film elsewhere." And New Mexico said, "By all means, right? We don't, we don't need that kind of stuff."
Don't let
Right.
the
And
tumbleweed hit you on the ass on the way
uh,
out.
Yeah.
and then the other one was just a director who came here with an attitude. I'm not going to deal with that. I mean, I don't deal with that in my shows. I don't deal with that from celebrities. I just have I have a disdain for uh, elitism and arrogance. And I tell folks there's a big difference between arrogance and pride. Person who's proud is simply proud of their knowledge, and you can't hurt them for that. But the people who think they're better than someone else, not around me. I don't care. I don't care if anybody uses the town at all. I'll be my own sheriff and mayor.
Right. There you go.
Who can say that? County commissioner, that's me.
County commissioner. I just want to. I'm like I'd be walking around. I'd be walking around.
Yeah, I own a canyon, except for my spouse.
I own a canyon. That canyon's mine.
I'm just enjoying. I have always run my life at full speed, and I'm enjoying.
Apparently,
being down in like second and third right now. Not really flying, but I get bored quickly. So sometimes people come across with a project they want me to assist them on or consult with them on, and I don't mind helping them as long as they're willing to listen and learn, because it's not easy. There's probably the most difficult industry by comparison to get into, and it makes no sense why. And the level of arrogance you deal with is ridiculously extreme.
I was going to say it's probably personality based, right?
For no reason whatsoever. And you got to learn. I learned from everything that I learned from mentors. I had some of the best mentors in any industry. Some of the most famous, and I just listened to them. And if that old timer is going to show me a way to get around a problem, well, I'm going to shut up and listen. Not always the way it works today. Younger folks tend to like, get out of the way, old man. I know what I'm doing.
Old man.
And then they collapse on themselves.
Yeah.
50 is the new 30.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I'm still very active. I was a raver when I was a kid. So I remember I was business owner by day and rave lunatic flying off on ecstasy by night. Weekend nights.
Do you remember? Yeah. So you remember like partying like rock stars and then till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and then going to work? I remember being able to do that. Now, oh my God, I have like 3 beers and I'm like, oh, I'm so bloated. I gotta take aspirin. I gotta go to
and my
bed.
spouse laugh about that daily because I'm like, I was a little raver, okay, and I partied at Limelight, New York, and I'd fly end of business day in the ad agency on Friday, take a flight out to New York, party like I'm an idiot, come in the wee morning hours of Monday morning, and continue running an ad agency. But I will say this: I was always responsible. I didn't party during the week, and I never did any. The worst drug I did was ecstasy, and it was fantastic. And I'll tell you right now, everybody should do it. It's non-addictive. You're not going to do something that you wouldn't normally do. It's totally awesome. But I never really did anything else. And a lot of friends, I've partied with Madonna. I've partied with Elton John.
I'd much rather party with
that I will. Those are stories I will share only privately.
Yeah, no recordings of that.
Right, but I'm very lucky. I've done everything I want to do and experienced things that no one will ever get to do, ever. And met the most amazing people. Met a few jackasses along the way. I'm not there. They're not my fan. But I've kind of marched to my own tune and had a great time doing it. I'm not the richest guy. I could have been if I was a little more schemy, but I just wasn't raised that way.
Yeah.
I wasn't raised that way. I will never willfully or knowingly mess anyone over. I've always fulfilled my agreements, going back to the agency. Even if I get upside down, if I'm the one who quoted it, I still got to deliver.
Yeah.
There's no asking for more money. You know?
So Jay, we're gonna wrap this all up here with a big how if people want to reach out to you, should they? Because I pulled up both. So there's adrenalinepartnership.com. Right. I'm going to put them up here so folks can grab it. Right. And then I also went and looked at Scaramanga Ranch. And, so, I mean, is there a better place to reach out to you, or they could just find you in either? And
it depends on why you're reaching out to me.
Well, yeah. Right? Okay. That would make sense.
If you are, if you're looking to film here or do something here, right? Scaramanga Ranch is the way to reach us from the website. If you're interested in possibly leveraging me as a producer showrunner, pretty much you should have my number at that point. But you can reach me through Scaramanga, or not through Adrenaline Partnership. Okay. And if you're somebody who's in film and you look, how do I get my script out there? How do I get it noticed? And you want someone to be real with you, then there's a tab or a button at the very bottom of that website. There's a certain kind of form that has to be signed before I can look at anything.
Right. Yeah, like an NDA.
So that there's no conflict of interest or anything like this. And I'm happy to, I give 20 minutes. I'm happy to assess where you're at, see. But as I learned from my friend Bill Shatner, my commodity is my experience and time.
Yeah.
And so I can't give it away, but I can make it acceptable depending on the person I'm working with and if I like the project.
Right.
I will tell you for certain, I will not take any consultation. I hate consultants. They're such shysties. I won't take any client on just for the money. If I don't believe that the concept has a rat chance in hell, which is to me that's the threshold you need to meet.
Right.
Because you're going to get a million no's. But if it has a rat chance in hell, and I can see it from a marketing perspective and a studio perspective, right? Then I'm willing to entertain it. But I'm just not going to be that guy that, everybody complains about, oh, that person, he says he can do all this stuff and he took my money and nothing ever happened. I'm going to give people real advice, but a lot of times they don't like it.
Right. Yeah. And I have great respect for that.
Unfortunately, we're dealing with the realities of an industry that is not going to change. You're not going to change it. I'm not going to change it. It doesn't like that. What it appreciates is novel approaches. But at the end of the day, when you're pitching something, shut your mouth after you pitch it. If there's one bit of advice I can give people is the realities of entertainment are your concept. If you are so very lucky, baby Jesus, Allah, all of them combined like the Super Friends to say you can actually pitch, right? You go in there like you're on acid and be as excitable and and as soon as you're done, you're immediately pliable. Right. I don't care if they're saying, if you're wanting to do a Western and out of nowhere, and I use this drastic example all the time, we think it'd be great if like a porcupine was like the leading role. And you're like, they're in your mind, as I say, in your mind, you go, what the are you talking? But in your mouth, you nod and say, I never thought of a porcupine. That's awesome. And the minute they start running with their own ideas, the only person who's going to fuck this up is you. Let them, the minute they're running with their own ideas, they're taking ownership.
Right.
Let them. All of a sudden it was a Western, now it's a space and a drama, and we're going to do
and there's porcupines. Yeah.
Porcupines. right? And we're going to make it animated,
Yeah.
right? Roll with it. Get the goal is the contract signed, money in the account, and then you can be a pain in the ass after that.
Yeah.
That's a
But
perfect place
but
to end.
you give these folks in development
Mhm.
that you're pitching to even a tinge vibe of reluctance to change, and you're done.
Mhm.
Let me tell you, a pitch session can last you 30 to 60 seconds, which is what most of them do. Or it can last you 5 minutes after your first 60 seconds of them talking.
Mhm.
And then you've got it. It's it's a home run. The only thing you can do is fuck it up for your own arrogance and not understand that this is a business.
Right.
First, your creativity, and I'm a creative guy, your creativity is secondary to business. If they cannot see a path to making money, they don't care what it's about. Oh, it's about Jesus, and it's about this, and it's about, the president of the United States, and all this person was a miracle worker, and she was just a wonderful person, and everybody loved her, and da da da. Nobody cares
Right.
unless it's going to make money.
Money. Yep.
And people in this business that are trying to get in, 99.8% of them can't handle that.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
That's my going advice.
That's yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jay. We really appreciate you taking the
You guys are
time.
awesome. I love your show. I listen to it, and I'm not lying.
Thank
Like
you.
if we were on, the Jimmy Kimmel show, I'd probably be like, oh, I watch it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't watch Jimmy
Yeah.
Kimmel.
Yeah. It's okay.
But I do listen to it when I'm building stuff. I put the podcast on and bring myself up to speed with different businesses that are in the area. I
Okay.
think what you're doing is fantastic. I think you're the only ones who are really surprisingly doing something like that.
Yeah, I believe we are. Yeah.
And I think it's phenomenal,
Thank you.
exposing different industries and different businesses, uh, and in ways that people might be able to interact with them down the road.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That is our
You
goal.
guys are doing a great job. You ladies are awesome.
Thank you so much, Jay. It's been a pleasure.
You got it. Signing off. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening.